Hey everyone, and welcome back to Delmere. We're on episode 6 now, and as you probably could tell from the title, we're actually going to be working on the downtown today. And we're going to be working on a sizable portion of it too. This is going to include like the financial district and the sort of high-rise residential district. We have a lot of condos and stuff in here, and that's what we're working on first. And then another about equally sized residential area, but not as much of a high-rise district, I guess. It's a little hard to describe, but we'll get to all that in just a sec. So right now, we're filling out this residential area. It's basically on this waterfront. Well, at least the waterfront of the canal that you can see, and it's right on the edge of the tiny harbor that we built, which is based off of the Neighborplan in Stockholm, which you can just about see. Yeah, right there. It's the water to the left. But yeah, so uh, I did all the roads off camera. It took me a while to get the roads I actually like, and we've got a few blocks here that I'm filling in. I looked a lot at how the blocks in Vancouver were designed to do all this because, I did mention at the start of the series that I wanted the buildings in the city to feel very Vancouver-esque, and this is like a prime example of that. So yeah, I looked at how the blocks in Vancouver were designed, and it's more of a grid network, which this road layout sort of is to some extent, but I needed to modify it a bit to fit into some of the slightly weirder shaped blocks, I guess. But yeah, anyway, the real thing I saw was that it seems like each block has like one or two or maybe three high-rise buildings, which are like the actual condo blocks, usually in the corners of the block, and then the gaps between them are filled in with some kind of mixed use development. And you can see I went for that. You've got the taller buildings at the corners, or sometimes a little more towards the middle, and I'm using either low-rise condos or the sort of modular commercial building assets, or in some cases just using some townhouses to fill out the block. It looks fine. The townhouses might not be too realistic, but I did see a few places in Vancouver, a little outside. I think closer to Fall Street, I think it was, where they just fit in really well. They do actually have like some smaller townhouses at the base of, like, filling in the spaces between the blocks. So yeah, that works fine. I think I might have to come back to this area and do some foliage as always. But yeah, that's also something I'll do off camera because I'm not particularly good at it, and you guys won't enjoy me just trying to deal with trees and stuff for like an hour. But yeah. And right now the block we're working on is one of those weirdly sized blocks I was talking about. It's usually the blocks that are there they're not square, but they're close enough to it. But these two blocks are very long, and trying to make it look good was a bit difficult, but I think I pulled it off in the end. You'll see a bit more of it in the cinematics at the end, and yeah, do let me know down below how you think it looks, because I could definitely use some feedback on this. And now we've moved on to the financial district. Right now, just adding in this road that goes the other way, on the other side of the tram line that we built. it's either the last episode or all the way back when we first laid down the roads over here. So yeah, I'm just messing with the roads a bit, and we get straight into placing down the buildings. And I think I started off by just placing down the, I wouldn't say, I guess it's sort of like the most iconic buildings that will be on the skyline. I ended up redoing this a lot. You saw a bit of a glimpse of the district in episode 4, I think, which was my first build for this entire district, but I just bulldozed the entire thing right after I recorded all that stuff. So this is like my fourth attempt of this entire district, and yeah, this is my best shot at it. This over here, I think it's a pretty well-known building on the workshop. It's the Silex from Lyon in France, and it looks really nice. It's got this sort of angular feel. It's definitely one of those iconic things that will be part of our skyline. There's a few buildings over there that you might recognize, but yeah, the building from Lyon is definitely going to be one of those iconic ones. I did have a lot of these, a lot of assets for this sort of financial district, but I didn't end up using most of them because some of them are just a little too tall. I don't know whether it's because I'm using relatively shorter buildings, or if those buildings are just tall to begin with. But some of these buildings, I think they say they're like 200 something meters tall or something like that. I don't remember the exact heights, but yeah, they tower over all of the buildings that I've placed so far, not just these tiny ones that I'm placing down, but yeah, even some of the skyscrapers that I've already placed. This over here that we're working on, I'm trying to just fill in these gaps with these generic office buildings, because the blocks are a bit weirdly shaped around here, because you have the roundabout and you have the slightly curvy road that goes on the opposite side of the tram line. So filling in these gaps was a little hard, but luckily the buildings that I used have some weirdly shaped buildings, so it works out great. Here I'm just struggling to figure out the best orientation for all these buildings, because one thing I was conscious of while building all this was that I didn't want buildings to block out sort of the view from any of them. So you'll see, as far as possible, I tried not to place tall buildings right next to each other, but at the very least place them diagonally across, so that their views would still be open. And I worked to the most part. I think there's like one place where I kind of had to break from that rule, but all in all, it worked out pretty well, and it allowed me to spread out the buildings a little more, which is always nice. And it just means the financial district feels a lot bigger than it actually is, because in the end it's actually pretty small. It's about the same size as the residential district that we just built, maybe a tiny bit bigger, but not much. This over here I think is actually a residential building, but it worked really well on this main boulevard. Here I'm just adding a sort of back road to fill in that space. But yeah, as you can see, I sort of combined two heights of the same building, because I think they're Reapers buildings. These are Reapers or Smileys, but they come with multiple heights, and that works really well for creating those like multi-building complex sort of things. Here I'm just cleaning up one of the buildings from the Silex complex, because it is on a sort of weird slope, and I thought of a nice idea to fit it into that slope well. So what I'm doing is I'm just viewing a staircase and putting it at this incline, which was the steepest one that there was. And it still looks a little weird because the road that it's on is still sloping a little bit, so you'll see the staircases. It looks a bit weird. Like, yeah, you can see some of the stairs only go part way. This is also something I might have to come back to later on, just try and smoothen out the slopes in this entire area. Because when I was setting all this up, I did run into quite a few problems with the heights because I needed a bridge to. It's going to become a bridge later, but there's a bridge going over the underground tram station that we built a few episodes ago, and that needs to be at a certain height, and the rest of the roads here go down to the waterfront. So, yeah, dealing with that height difference is pretty difficult. Now we're starting on that third and final district that we're going to be working on today. Here I've got this building. I'm not sure what it is. All I know is that there's text at the top of it that has some kind of logo that reads Werner. But I don't know exactly what it is. But it fits really well into that space that was there for it. The road over there looked a little weird. It's just a road layer that I copied from Helsinki, I believe. Yeah, I think it's Helsinki. I can't remember whether it's Helsinki or Stockholm. But it's one of those that there was like a weird road over there that I liked. And so I put it in. You can see it. It sort of just unnecessarily curves around this building. So it could be that this building is a sort of older building that was already there and the road was added in later. And it definitely looks that way. That building has a bit of an older look to it compared to the rest of this area. Here I was placing down the building next to a tram line. Just dedicated tram line that's going to run through the area. And this sort of chaotic thing, I'm just going through my entire set of buildings, seeing what looks nice and then figuring out the best place to look at, which is why it seems like I'm jumping all over the place right now. This is all by that boulevard that we worked on last episode. You can see a bit of the exit ramps from the boulevard. Yeah, and this area you'll notice it's a lot shorter. There's a few tall buildings that are going to come in, but not really skyscrapers, and they're mostly some of them are sort of modern-looking developments. Some look slightly older, and I think my entire story for this area is that this was part of the old town. Not very old, like not medieval old, but it was part of the older town. There were some developments here, some of which have been demolished and not renovated, but there's new buildings over here. They've replaced them, some more modern and some a little more generic. Here, these are just some, I believe these are tenement housing from Poland, I think. These are just like residential buildings that look pretty generic and pretty plain. I think I messed with the colors a tiny bit. But yeah, these look a little older. My sort of story behind this is like social housing or something, I guess. That was built by the government, just to provide some housing over there, and it doesn't exactly fit in, but with some of the other areas we worked on, but in that particular spot, I think it looks pretty nice. And yeah, you just saw over there that was one of the taller buildings that's going to come in this area. It's, I believe, the Ritz-Carlton. asset. Here's some more of those older buildings I was talking about. This is some stuff from Oslo. And yeah, it definitely has that older look to it, like it's been there for a while, and this could be like one of the few blocks that hasn't been demolished and not renovated. I'm trying to think of the that word for it. Uh, yeah, here just made a small parking lot. The big parking lots back is really nice for making those, and just a few shops. Uh, I am thinking I should have done a bit more in terms of like mixed use development, like maybe placing down some shops at the base of buildings. That's probably something I'll go back and do. I don't know if I'll do that off camera or if I'll do that in an episode where we just fill in the gaps. But yeah, that's something I really do need to do. Just add in some shops at the bottom of the building. And yeah, I think this is the last block on this area. It's just by the waterfront, as you can see. It's a bit difficult to fill because there's a lot of curves in the roads and everything. But yeah, I think it came out looking nice. There's like a good diverse set of buildings right there. And yeah, these are some roads inside the neighborhood. I don't know if this set of roads here is realistic or not. It seems like it would be, but I'm not sure. This is like a sort of smaller community that's just like separated, I guess. I'm not good with the words today. I don't know what you'd call that. Here are some of the townhouses I was talking about earlier. I was just using them to fill in that sort of gap there between the building and the roads. And here you can see just filling in this entire space with some pavement, and I put in a small pedestrian path that goes up from that sort of gated area up to this smaller road over there. As always, just POing the pavement to fill in the area. It's really a very versatile mod, being able to create all those custom shapes, which is usually pretty difficult to do in this game. Here's another parking lot, which I need to get better at making these. I still fumble a lot while making them. Yeah. I'm also trying to see if I can use some other parking lot assets, because these ones in particular, they just made like modular parking spots, so they end up looking a little too big for this, I think. Like, they just end up taking a lot more space than they really should. And it's good when I have to fill in like larger spaces, but yeah, they can look a little too spacious. Here's another one of those weird inclines that we have around here because of the height differences. I'm just covering it up with some trees. I pretty much just pick random trees until something looks nice at this point. Here we're fixing up this area by just adding some parking roads between the buildings. I end up switching those around, so it ends up being a little more symmetrical. I guess these three buildings are part of like one development or something like that. And yeah, there is a there's like that open space in the center of the big building, which I don't believe I filled. I'll probably just plop down some trees or something. No one's really going to see inside that, so I just need to cover it up. Here we've come back to that tram line that we worked on right at the start of when we started working on this district. Yeah, just here placing them with smaller buildings. I wanted to preserve some of the line of sight to the tram line, and I'm just adding in this pedestrian path along the side. And it's not really, this area doesn't really turn into a park, but it's just like a nice place to walk through and just cut across. And I added some trees, really sell that. I am mixing in some sort of fall trees every now and then. Not too many to make it like a proper fall kind of city, but just enough to add some variation. And yeah, this is the last thing we'll work on this episode. This is a small park that's there on the Vaterfront. It's a bit different from the actual one in Stockholm. I added like a little statue at the center and everything. But yeah, this looks really nice as well. Like just an urban park in this area. I'm adding buildings on the edge. I didn't feel like making it as big as that entire block. So yeah, the buildings just helped break it up a little bit. I think this is the first actual sort of nature detailing thing I've done in the city on the series so far, and I definitely need to get better at it, but I think this park turned out really well in the end. You'll see it in the cinematics. Right now I'm just filling in this entire area with pavement, so I can add in grass surfaces just to fill in the gaps, and the pavement just gives it a nice border. But yeah, we're nearing the end of the episode. Before we go, in the comments, suggest names for all of these districts, because I'm not good at naming stuff. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all of that stuff. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.